Yo fam, what's good? What's good? How's everybody? Let's go. Well, we're back again with another build, this time the Solar Titan, and we're not going with the build that everyone else has sort of been talking about, which is the Pyrogale exotic arms. I think it's going to get nerfed, but this one is using a old exotic that got a rework for season 22, the Hallowfire Heart. It used to be an absolutely amazing exotic, but then we got things like Heart of Inmost Light, and there was just better options. But I think that could change. They've reworked it. You can see here, there's just so many sunspots on the field, and the sunspots are allowing me to get restoration and ability regeneration, and then I'm able to get radiance, and I'm constantly just destroying everything with ignitions. Like you can just see, there's just so much solar explosions around. It's super fun, and it's what you want from a solar build. Constant restoration is always nice. I mean, restoration definitely keeps you alive in some tricky situations. And I'm using the Sunshot hand cannon because hand cannon's got a bit of a rework this season, actually a hell of a rework this season. So they're doing more damage. They've got better reload. So we're doing more damage to red bars. So you're getting 20% extra damage to red bars, and we're doing 75% to orange bars, which is huge. As you can see, I'm just absolutely eating these enemies alive with this hand cannon. It was one of my favorites when we had War Mines Elves, but then when they got rid of War Mines, I stopped using it as much. But yeah, hopefully you'll like the build. It's definitely a fun one to use. As I said, I don't want to be the same as everyone else and run the same build. So give this one a crack. Give it a chance. See, there's sunspots everywhere. It's going to be really, really cool. And, they've really done a good job of reworking this because I think it needed it. So, but guys, as I said, the biggest thing and big key here is you're constantly going to be radiant, which is extra damage, and you're constantly going to have restoration. Run whatever hammers you want. I'm using Hammer of Soul just because it's good for ad clear. I am running the Rally Barricade, but I barely use it, but I'm using it to proc from my grenade if I need it and suck in the orbs. I'm using a Thermite grenade mainly for ad clear. I do like the Thermite for scorching. Fusion's probably a better option if you've got a bigger, more chunkier sort of target, or you want to get a good explosion. Either of those two are great. It's where I would sort of lean towards. Soul Invictus is a must. Solar ability finder abilities, Hammer of Soul impacts and defeats scorched targets, creates sunspots. And then the sunspots apply scorch and deal damage to your targets and grant you restoration. Roaring Flames, final blows with solar abilities or ignitions increase the damage of your solar abilities, and it stacks up to ×3. You're pretty much going to have Roaring Flames ×3 the whole time. Ember of Torches, powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant. So you're getting that extra damage buff constantly, and you will get it, and you can also do barrier champions. Ember of Ashes, you apply more scorch attacks to targets, so it's going to cause more ignitions. Your solar ignition spreads scorch to affected targets, so more scorch, more ignitions. And then Ember of Empyrean, solar weapon or abilities are able to extend and keep your restoration and radiant. So the more you kill. Now onto the helmet. I've got the Solar Strand dual siphon on, and the reason is I'm using a strand weapon, which I'll explain a bit later why. Ashes to assets to try and generate your super back. You can use the hands-on as well if you want to use your hammer a little bit more. Grenade kickstart, firepower. Obviously, more and more orbs is going to help us keep yourselves alive as well. But Harmonic Loader just to reload that hand cannon and keep it procced all the time. But you can use pretty much any solar weapon with it, but I do like to use that Sunshot. It's an amazing hand cannon. And here we go, the Hallowfire Heart. You can see here, solar takedowns while standing in a sunspot create a sunspot. Greatly improves recharge rate of your solar abilities while your super is charged, and provides a small benefit to the airborne effectiveness stat of all weapons. I mean, you're not jumping anywhere, but standing in sunspots, being able to kill enemies and then generate more sunspots. You pretty well don't use your super, so that you've constantly got your uptime of all of your abilities. It's insane. Innovation, recuperation, pretty much on every single build I ever do. Solar weapon surge for this one specifically just to do extra damage, but if you don't want to do the extra damage, stacks on stacks. And then down to your Titan mark, time dilation just to keep your uptime for your damage, for your surges, and then Reaper. And then I've got a stack of Bomber. Now, if you don't want to use the surge mods, you can chuck on the powerful attraction to help suck those orbs in a little bit more. Or as always, resilience at 100, discipline at 100, and then as much recovery as you possibly can. And that's the build. Like, it's not super complex at all. You want to be running the solar orbs generations, so that way you can constantly have solar orbs. As I said, you want the Solar Strand Siphon mod if you can. And you want to be running the new strand one, which is the Thanatonic Tangles. Basically, any strand weapon is going to create a tangle for you, which is going to feed into the other stuff here. So while stun champions take bonus damage, communal pickups, that's cool if you're running as a fire team to get more damage from your weapons and stuff. Refreshing pickups, picking up a tangle, and that's where that strand one comes in, or elemental orb is going to generate energy for your least ability, and then those ones there getting kills with your orbs or your tangles is going to give you ammo. And then monochromatic maestro is just around damage for your weapons. It's constantly stacking all the time. You can use frenzy stack as well, which is going to make those tangles and elemental orbs even more potent, but you are going to use your armor charges a hell of a lot. Once again, as I said, any solar weapon will do. This is another one which is back this season, which is the Callus mini tool with incandescent. Anything with incandescent is really, really good for ignition builds because you're spreading lots of scorch. But yeah, any solar weapon will do just fine if you don't have a sunshot, but if you give sunshot a crack, because it is really, really good. But you can just see here, solar ignitions, sunspots everywhere, constant restoration, constant radiant. There's nothing not to like about this build. And as I said, it's not going to do 900k damage to a boss, but it's going to shred everything in between, and it's going to add clear like crazy. So if you're struggling to stay alive, you got ads everywhere, like in this particular dungeon. Chuck this on and let rip. The sunspots also do damage to your enemies as well, so they're constantly going to keep scorching enemies. It's just, it's a great build. Give it a crack. And I'll see you guys on the next one. I do appreciate the love and support. Don't forget to smash a comment in the comment section. Drop a like, drop a follow. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Stay groovy, stay safe. As always, appreciate you. Deuces. GG's. GG's.